Hi everybody, it's day 24 and it's a dreary day in New York, and before I get started on what I wanted to talk about today, I have to tell you what just happened to me. Now, I'm 45 years old. In all of my years of schooling, I have never actually had a dog eat my homework ever. I'm like, how does that even happen? Whatever. So today, I'm getting so carried away with this book. It's amazing. Again, it's called The Willpower Instinct, and I was really into it, and then I started listening to part of it and was like, oh my God, this is like totally Vicky proof. Like, the information was not going in, no matter how many times I rewound it. And I also downloaded the book to read it, and I'm reading it and I'm like, yeah, no, this is not happening. It's beyond me. So, BV, beyond Vic. So I got through it. I said, let me just sort of keep going and hopefully I'll get to some more good stuff. And I did. I was so excited. But what happened was there was so much information that I said, let me start writing this down so I don't forget and I pass it along correctly. And then I went to work. Okay. And when I went to work, I was walking around and one of the dogs ate my note. Yep. I was holding them, and he just jumped up and grabbed them and ate them. And I also broke a nail. It was very traumatic, the whole experience. So it really wasn't, but it pissed me off. I was like, oh my God, he ate my notes. He ate my homework. So I get it now. That is a valid excuse. It could happen. So the only thing I had left, because I'm not in my car, is this little teeny piece of paper. So if you see me look down, that's what I'm looking at. I'm referring to my notes that are on my dinky little piece of paper. Okay. But anyway, let me tell you what I read. This is amazing. Well, to me it is. Anyway, dopamine. I've mentioned it before. It's an amazing thing that goes on inside of us. It just happens. There's no real controlling dopamine. But dopamine is what makes you pursue happiness. It's what makes you pursue what feels good. It isn't what makes you it's not happiness itself, it's the drive for happiness. Like when you suddenly get a hankering for chocolate, or to go shopping at a good sale, or for alcohol or drugs or whatever, that's dopamine kicking in. Okay, so essentially it's our reward system, right? It is the thing that says, let's go get it. Well, unfortunately, companies have figured out how to use our dopamine transmitters to their own personal gain, and they're using it against us all the time. Really. I used to work in a mall, and I would walk into the mall every morning when it started, and I could smell the pretzel place. Like, oh my God, it was overwhelming. Overwhelming. I mean, how many times have you walked into a mall and been like, what is that smell? I need one of those. And you find yourself walking for a while before you get to it, because businesses are allowed to emit these chemical smells that sort of trigger your dopamine receptors, and off you go, right? Not fair. When you get a magazine in the mail and you smell that wonderful smell of like a very popular perfume, I personally don't find, Chanel? I don't really like Chanel, so it also works in the opposite direction. When I smell Chanel, I'm like, yeah, I can't. But if you smell that perfume, it gets you flipping through, right? You're like, I like this. And the number one most popular way that they get to us is they cash in on the mother lode. When is your reward system at its greatest? It's a point in your childhood. And how can you get to it? Through two things: holiday music and holiday smells. So stores are allowed to play Christmas music and pump out the smells of trees, or maybe put, lots of candles with lots of fragrance, anything that can remind you of the holidays. And they find that people really go for it. This is when they do the most shopping. This is when they're most susceptible to making a purchase. The dopamine is going berserk-o. So I thought about this and I'm like, this is like incredibly unfair. And now I know why I love Amazon so much. Because I'm not falling for it like that. I love shopping at home. When I go to a grocery store, I get crazed. I mean, I'm the perfect victim to any kind of product placement or things like this. So another thing about dopamine is it also makes you anxious. And a perfect example of this is, have you ever been waiting for your whole family to go to sleep so that you can eat something that you really aren't supposed to be eating and you won't have to share it? I mean, I'm not saying that that happened to me, but it might have. And that feeling of anxiety, like I've sat there going, go to bed, oh my God, please, so I can go and eat that thing that I really, really want. Like, even right now, I feel it happening. It's like the memory is bringing it all up. But that's also dopamine that's making you anxious. So basically, now I have to refer to my notes for a second, because this is the part that really is the most important part, because you're going, how in the world can you control this? Well, you can't really control dopamine. And what you have to do is you have to be aware of the dopamine monster. You have to know when he's about to happen, okay? And like I said, when you get that drive, you know that it's probably kicked in, especially if you're addicted to something. So there's two ways that you can sort of work around this. The first way is to say, I mean, I've actually said out loud, this is a chemical thing. This isn't me. You know, now I'm going to call it the dopamine monster, because that's what it is. And you can, saying something out loud, it kind of sets it. I don't know why, but you can say, this is dopamine. This is dopamine. I can control this. Take a couple deep breaths and whatnot. Oh my God. I like totally spaced out on where I was going with this. Anyway, and also tell yourself that you're not going to feel as good as you think you're going to feel. You're going to feel full. You're going to, especially if this is something you binge on, you're going to feel full. You're going to feel guilty. You're not going to feel good. It's your body. It's something inside of you. It's a chemical and it's taken over, but you can control it. Knowledge is power. Knowing what's taking over your body, it can help you learn to control it. Now, if you've reached a point where you're like, screw it, I want it anyway. Okay. I could speak on behalf of food, how you can deal with this. With drugs and alcohol and everything else, I really have no authority to speak on that. But as far as food, here's what you do. You take very small bites and be in the food. Be one with the food. Be in the moment. Take a small bite. Eat it. Taste it. Is this really as good as you thought it was going to be? Is this really that delicious? At some point, if you keep eating it, you stop even tasting the food. So take little bites, drink some water after each one. It'll also help, because I noticed, like, if I eat a Reese's peanut butter cup, if I eat, which I have not eaten recently, let me just say, I'll make that clear. But I noticed that if I take a glass of a sip of water after every single bite, that it sort of refreshes my taste buds and I taste it better and I get more enjoyment and I eat less. So this is what you're going to do. If you end up saying, screw it, and eating the thing that you aren't supposed to be eating, try to promise yourself that you're going to eat it slow. You're going to eat small little bites. You're going to think about what you're doing. You're not going to sit in front of the TV and just keep shoving food in. You're going to really just focus on that. And you'll be training your brain, essentially. You're really thinking about what you're doing instead of relying on the dopamine monster, which is also followed by habit and all sorts of other crap, which we're not going to get into. But anyway, I just thought I would share this information with you. It's a tool to work with, another one that I'm going to be using, and hopefully you'll find it handy. And again, please feel free to comment and let me know what you think. If you think it's a bunch of hooey or whatever, I don't care. I'd love to hear it. Everybody's got a right to their opinion. So I hope wherever you are, it's not as disgustingly rainy and cold as it is here. But, you know, I think I'm going to have myself a nice little cup of coffee and no bad food. Have a good day, everybody. Bye.